Hi, it's Tim Cole here, and I want to talk to you today about the subject of timing. Timing is a very important piece of all of our lives. We don't get everything all at once. When you were born, I don't know about you, but I'll talk about me. When I was born, I didn't have the house I have today. I didn't have the 2 cars that are sitting in my driveway. I didn't have the job. I didn't have the family, the two kids. I'm so proud of my boys, but I didn't have those boys when I was born. See, timing matters for all of our lives because none of us have everything all at once. We don't see things all in one glimpse like God does. He sees the end from the beginning. Why? Because he lives outside of time and he can see it all as one right in front of him. We're human and we live in this finite realm, and there's this thing, Greek word chronos. It's about the ticking, the slow revolution of time, the revolving, ticking time of seconds on the clock as our lives continue to move forward on a linear path. God doesn't live in a linear time, and yet he loves us while we are living through this linear time. Progression from yesterday to today. We know our past. We feel our present. We're living in it. We're experiencing it. We believe and hope for our future, but we've not been there yet. That's why it's so comforting for me to know that he's already been there, and he's welcoming us through today, out of our past, through today, into our future. Timing is such an important understanding and revelation to come into. But as a backdrop, I want to look at John chapter 2, and it's the wedding of Cana. And it's really the first miracle of Jesus. It's kind of the coming out of Jesus showing himself and showing his glory. In fact, in verse 11, it says, "This miraculous sign at Cana in Galilee was the first time Jesus revealed his glory." It was the first time he revealed his glory. But I want to give you a little glimpse into something you may not have thought of. In verse 4, Jesus is at the wedding with some of his disciples and his mother, and they run out of wine. And his mother comes to him and says, "Jesus, would you help him out?" First of all, think about this. If Jesus had never done any miraculous thing, why would Mary have come to Jesus with an expectation that he could fix this? I mean, think about it. I suspect that the miracle of Cana was not his first miracle. It was the first miracle through which he released his public glory. Interesting, right? Timing is important. So his mother comes to him and said, "Hey, Jesus, could you do something here?" And Jesus in verse 4 says, "Dear woman, this is not our problem." Jesus replied, "My time has not yet come." Interesting. My time. Time for what? To do miracles? I'm not so sure that Jesus didn't do miracles all along, but he didn't make them public. He kept them private because it wasn't time yet for his public glorification. It wasn't time for the public to know what he carried and what was inside of him. The glory that he carried, right? So, verse 5, "But his mother told the servants, 'Do whatever he tells you.'" Again, a hint, I believe, to the fact that this isn't the first time that Jesus had done miraculous things, or that he was needed for miraculous things by those in his family. Now, we know later on that his brothers didn't believe in him. They chased him around and they encouraged him to go to the festival when it wasn't his time. And it literally says in John that his brothers did not believe in him. So I understand this is conjecture, but I just ponder these things in my life because I understand that timing is so valuable. You see, if you and I were carriers of the glory of God and the miraculous power of God, and by the way, we are, because he gave us his glory. The glory the Father gave him, in the end of John, it says Jesus, gave us that same glory. And he gave us the same power he had. You will receive power after the Holy Spirit has come upon you, Acts 1:8, right? So we have those things. If those are true, is there a place in your heart that you can realize that this is not all about us coming out all at once? Or having the display of all these things as soon as we get access to them. Because again, this is a progression. We're all growing in grace. We're growing in our faith. And so we have more access today, hopefully, to the power and the release of his power and know how to access his power than we did last month or last year, right? It's a progression, the chronos of time. But unlike Jesus, most of us, because we're frail in our self-perception and we want others to like us so badly, and it's the lust of the eyes, the lust of the flesh, and the pride of life, right? We want others to see us as special. The moment we get glory, the moment we get power or access to those things, most of us can't help ourselves, and we see no reason to hold it back. We just like out with it. Sometimes we don't even understand that as an ulterior motive, like it's selfish in our motive. But most often it is. Jesus was not like that. He understood timing. He understood that there was a time for him to be revealed. It says that he grew in wisdom and stature in favor with both God and man in his formative years. He was found at the temple at age 12, teaching and learning. It's incredible the life that Jesus lived up to his formal ministry at age 30. So 30 years of timing went by before it was time for him to reveal the glory that he'd carried all along. I want to encourage you that your timing is important to God. In fact, your timing, the timing of your life, is in the palm of his hand. It's squarely in his hand. He knows where you are. He knows where you've been. He's revealed himself in Revelation 1 as the God who was and is and ever shall be. He knows where you are. He's not lost track of the timing of your life. I know circumstances can crowd us and make us feel as though we're lost, make us feel as though he's forgotten. But I want to challenge you and encourage you at the same time that Jesus understood timing, and so can you and I. Through him, we can understand that there's a time and place for the release of the things that he's packed in us. I had a prophetic word when I was young in ministry, and someone prophesied to me that there's all these anointings that are wanting to burst out of you, and yet by the time your hair starts turning gray, you'll begin to function and move in all of those things. Wow, timing. How many of you know that as a young minister, it wasn't easy to hear that it was going to take some time for those things to be released out of my life. But in time, we learn patience. And it says that Jesus learned obedience through the things that he suffered. We learn patience and obedience through the chronos of time, in between the time when we capture things, when we receive things, and they become germinating, or they are germinating in our lives, right? In that season when God begins to give us gifts. And I would challenge you and encourage you to don't be quick to just release them and give them and start printing business cards. Like Jesus, understand there's a timing in your life, that God is watching over the timing of your life. And if you're willing to live inside of his timing, you will find yourself maximizing his glory, not your own. Maximizing his kingdom, not your own. You will be putting the spotlight on him and not on you. And like Jesus, you will bring glory to your Father in great measure. So dear ones, I want to encourage you. Understand and learn that there's a timing that God has for your life, and it is the best time.